What is up everyone, welcome back to another top 10 video where this time we're going to be counting down the best plays from all of Stage 2. It was an incredible 5 weeks of competition that saw new teams rise to the occasion whilst others fell just short of expectations. A different map pool coinciding with a new meta gave way to more meaningful teamfights and increased the severity of every single decision made in the heat of the moment. Certain individuals thrived under the pressure and helped guide their teams further up the overall rankings. It's those individuals who deserve the spotlight and thus those who are in focus today as we dissect the most pivotal moments throughout all of Stage 2. Opening the list, we have the first appearance from the most improved team in the league thus far, the Philadelphia Fusion, a team that mostly failed to shine throughout Stage 1 but soon found their footing thanks to the shift in meta that enabled different players on the stacked roster to demonstrate their excellence. In this crucial matchup between the LA Valiant and the Fusion, which proved to have substantial playoff implications, a moment of patience and precision in the chaos ensured that the Philly team could steamroll the payload through the final phase of King's Row with minimal opposition. Having been clumped together by the Graviton from Agilities, Fraggy keeps his shield held high, enduring a vast amount of damage whilst also managing to block an Earth Shatter out of Fate. In a split moment, LA Valiant go from being entirely in control to entirely grounded as Fraggy answers back with a monstrous 6-man Earth Shatter, coupled with an opportune Graviton from Poco to seal the deal and execute on arguably the most efficient team wipe in all of Stage 2.
That was about as one-sided as it gets. Talk about a team kill.
Coming in at number 9, we have a wild series of events, yet again featuring the LA Valiant on King's Row, however this time much earlier in the stage in a matchup against the San Francisco Shock. To help contextualize the absurdity you're about to see, note that neither team decided to run a diva throughout this phase of the map, an interesting factor considering the presence of Azaria on both sides of the payload. Advancing on to said objective, the Valiant are immediately sucked into a well-timed Graviton from Nevix that Dante is then able to capitalize on with perfect positioning, picking off 3 enemies with a lone concussion mine.
It's a 3-man mine there into the Graviton surge.
The rest of the fight is wrapped up and the Valiant are forced back into spawn for the time being. On their second push, however, Envy and Kareev decided to one-up the devastating combo from Nevix and Dante as they too send out a massive Graviton that collects all but one lone member of the Shock, making easy pickings for an ulting Kareev as his Deadeye locks on and seals the deal. Definitely one of the more memorable engagements throughout all of Stage 2 as back-to-back team-wiping Gravitons highlighted the series. In at number 8, we have some next-level Widowmaker play from Linksa. He's one of those players in the league that when he's able to really find his rhythm in a match, he looks unstoppable. Truly one of the best in the world, it's just a matter of getting him in that zone. With this performance on Gibraltar, however, it's certainly safe to say he found his groove. Keep in mind the level of competition across the stage from the Outlaws as he put together this montage-worthy highlight reel in just a single map. Enjoy.
Difficult to do. Cold playing one of the most aim-intensive heroes in the game and forced to out-aim somebody who was just destroying. Like, what is that? Link's as patient as ever, waits for the reflect to finish. Oh, better! You've met your better! Pocketed by Bonnie, whether it's healing, whether it's damage. That's why we say he's the best counter sniper in the game, man. This next fight, he cannot die here. He must stay alive. And Flutter now is going to get pushed. Nice work by Lynx where he comes forward. Lynx trying to okay. 5 deaths. So Jake playing very good on Tree here.
Threads the needle, Linksa. 1,000 bird challenges, just the one at a time now. Soul Dynasty in full storm mode. The heads are rolling, and Linksa is delivering. We're in overtime. The Outlaws do need to get this done, and they do. Unbelievable Widowmaker performance from Linksa. 14 final blows. I'd say about half of them are happening in the last minute. What is that?
Moving from one remarkable DPS player to another, in our 7th spot this week we have a truly great Genji play from Hydration in the 3rd week of competition. In the battle for LA, it was the Gladiators who eventually came out on top, thanks in large part to some spectacular individual play out of Hydration. In their second attacking phase on Hanamura, we can see Hydration on the Genji as he peeks around the corner of the first objective point in order to bypass the Valiant tanks and focus exclusively on the squishies. He dashes through soon for an effortless kill before biding his time throughout Unko's Transcendence, building his own ultimate all the while. Utilizing the dash reset mechanic, he charges directly into battle, pops his Dragon Blade and quickly dashes back out for easy damage which helps him deal with Kareev. He quickly dispatches Envy as he ejects from his mech, a crucial pick as a fresh Diva suit could have easily stalled out the point for quite some time. The Dragon Blade expires, but Hydration is far from done as he masterfully reflects a volley of Zen orbs from Unko into Verbo, before finishing off the lonesome Zenyatta for good measure. We see impressive Genji plays every single day in the Overwatch League, however this play in particular is worthy of highlight due to the level of intelligence on display. Hydration efficiently utilized all of the hero's abilities in conjunction with one another to absolutely decimate the Valiant one by one.
4K for Hydration.
In at number 6, we have one of the standout tank moments from Stage 2 thanks to Mumma's unforgettable Rhine play, as once again, King's Row is featured on this list. Funny how the best map in the game consistently produces the best moments, huh? But my subjectivity is besides the point. Let's move into the players. We see Mumma pressing the payload ever closer to that second checkpoint in the Outlaws matchup against Stage 2 champions NYXL. Slamming his hammer into the ground, Jonak's reaction time is just a fraction of a second too quick as he activates his Transcendence to survive the stun whilst also healing those afflicted. Having had enough of Jonak's antics, Mumma charges him off of the payload and to his eventual demise as he wisely angles the pin in such a way as to eject Jonak to the left and drop him into the lava below. It's these types of decisions that occur in split moments, fractions of a second, that separate the good Overwatch players from the great.
Dropping that Earth Shatter, there's a charge onto the Transcendence. Oh, and he's gonna knock him off! What an angle from Mumma!
In at number 5, we have Hydration making his second appearance on this list, as the rest of the gladiators enable him to play Doomfist with a level of efficiency not seen prior. Kicking the highlight off, Hydration charges into the corner to deal the damage necessary to demech Zappos before cleanly taking him out for good. He then goes on to time his ultimate to perfection as to land just as the opposing Transcendence comes to a close. A great display of game sense that we saw earlier throughout his Genji highlight. He takes down Zebasai and Zappos once again before moving on to Manitin and utilizing every ability in one swift motion to seal the deal and round out the teamfight. Advancing towards the spawn, Hydration cleans up Zupe before he's even able to make it out of the spawn room. A tremendous highlight that demonstrates the versatility of one of the best DPS players in the league, and bar none, the most effective Doomfist to date. Moving on to the play in our 4th spot, we have EQO asserting himself in the discussion for Stage 2 MVP as he goes on to entirely demoralize the Dallas Fuel. Already up 3 maps in the series, Philly refused to relent as they pressed forward, enabling EQO to position himself literally meters away from the opposing spawn. He takes down AKM before he even has a chance to make it through the doorway.
Oh, this is really happening! He's in spawn, EQO!
Certainly one of the only Widowmaker spawn kills we've seen in the league to date. Holding the fuel back even longer, the highlight continues as EQO snaps onto effect. With time dwindling away, Philly are forced to make a slight adjustment and back up ever so slightly. EQO grapples up high and uses his new vantage point to take out Taimu, who clearly forgot to turn around mid-jump as to not expose his critical hitbox. He deals near lethal damage to AKM once more as he attains a 10-player kill streak without ever having to pull back to a traditional defensive position on the final phase of the map. Truly sensational play from EQO as the fusion proved too strong for the crumbling Dallas lineup. In at number 3, we have the single greatest Earthshatter seen in the league thus far, and it just so happens to have occurred on King's Row again. With 0 ultimates at the ready, Houston decided to bottle themselves up in the right hand side of the map. Before they make all too much progress on their way up to the stairs however, Boston follows suit, chasing close behind. Mumma miraculously charges into Dreamcasper, but in doing so, he leaves himself entirely out of position from the rest of the Outlaws. Easy pickings for the now repositioned Uprising. The Nano Boost goes on to Gamsu in order to give him that added durability needed to stay alive. But without a moment's hesitation, he capitalizes on the lack of a primary shield on the side of the Outlaws and slams down into the ground, stunning every remaining member of the Green Wall. Picking them apart with ease, Gamsu reminds us just why his Reinhardt is so lethal as the Uprising continued to go toe-to-toe with the Outlaws in what proved to be one of the most enthralling maps in all of Stage 2.
Oh, he gets pinned! Mumma coming back down the stairs. Gamsu meanwhile, Nano Boost, that's a big one! Oh, play of the game! Oh, man!
Unfortunate as it is, the second most impressive moment of Stage 2 was actually only on screen for about half of the duration of the play. In their 3rd appearance on this list, the most of any team, Philadelphia Fusion rotate their excellence, this time promoting Carpe on the Widowmaker. Now most Widowmakers, as expected, tend to play behind their team as to engage with superior sightlines whilst also being pocketed by their support. Carpe refuses to conform to such expectations however as he goes on an absolute tear on London's home turf, and I assure you, this is the final time King's Row makes an appearance on this list. Kicking off their first push into the final phase of the map, Carpe opens with a snipe onto Birdring and Nush shortly after, killing a recipient of the sound barrier as well as the DJ who provided it. Advancing ahead of his team, something you very rarely see out of a Widowmaker, Carpe is able to take out Prophet as he attempts to retreat back into spawn. Now this is where things start to get truly hectic, however this is also where the camera cuts to track the payload. Holding his position just outside of London's spawn, the lone Widow negates an entrance for the home team, forcing them to filter through the opposite side of the map where they are far more exposed. He shuts down Birdring once more as he then goes on to take out a potentially devastating Riptile, a Zarya nearing ultimate, as well as a Tracer to close things out as the rest of his team cruise the payload through with plenty of time to spare. Undeniably one of the more wild Widowmaker players that stands atop the mountain of others as Carpe cements himself as the best sniper on London. And last but not least, in our number 1 spot we have Tvik keeping his team's hopes and dreams alive as this truly incredible effort was the play that turned things around not only within the series, but for the Mayhem as a whole moving forward. It was this play that ensured Florida would take Dallas to a 5th map and in doing so, secure their first win of Stage 2 and their second win overall this year. The play begins with Dallas seemingly in full control as they wipe out numerous members of the Florida roster whilst the payload edges mere meters from completion. Tvik does everything he can to ensure that he stays alive in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. At this point in the fight, we can see that it is truly a 1v5 scenario as AKM is sniping from a distance off screen. Tvik positions himself behind the payload as to survive the Diva Bomb from Mickey. In the meantime, he also manages to take down Rascal and eventually Harryhook, as now we can see a few respawns starting to come out in overtime for Florida. He is eventually taken down, but let's just consider the situation that he endured. Playing on the most feeble hero in the game at only 150 HP, Tvik not only stands alone throughout a 1v5 scenario and manages to survive, but he also has the audacity to pull the trigger and execute on a few pivotal kills, all whilst remaining within an extremely close range of the payload as to halt any and all progress of the fuel. It's absolutely staggering just how well Tvik was able to perform when the pressure was at its breaking point. His efforts ensured a swing in momentum in favour of the Mayhem as spawn advantage came into effect and the Florida roster went on to win Ilios and close out the series. Marking their second win throughout the league, it was this performance that seemingly gave life to a newfound motivation within the team as they went on to secure 2 more wins through the remainder of the stage, doubling their overall record. When all those factors are taken into consideration, it's clear to see why this play was atop the list and the single most impressive moment throughout all of Stage 2. So that's it, that's our video wrapping things up before the 3rd stage commences later this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Do feel free to voice your opinions in the comments below, let us know what moments you think deserve a spot on the list, but as always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.